and gentlemen, let's go. Level up. Lifestyle, wellness, and a damn good time. Level up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Hit it. You're listening to the Holistic Life Podcast, presented by Say What Radio.
Welcome.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, to the Holistic Life Show.
Oh, man.
I'm Jenny.
Yo, what up, y'all? I'm Jay.
Yo, so it's been a while.
Yo, first, I gotta get this off my chest first. So, yeah, so we took a little sabbatical. Is that still a thing? Sabbatical? Hiatus? Nah. Anyway, we were supposed to take a trip, right? To the West Coast. And at the time of this recording, the West Coast was like crazy, right? And our friend was like, yo, I want to be selfish as fuck and tell y'all to still come out. But you know what I mean? I don't want y'all to be like stuck here and, you know, it'd be boring as hell. So yeah, right. So, you know, being the pivoters that we are, we was like, yo, we still need to get out of the city for a little bit. Right. So we bounced to a place called Titusville.
Titusville. You said Titusville earlier.
Fucking dork, man. Titusville, Florida, which is on the west coast of Florida.
Coast of Florida.
I always get that screwed up because we live on the west coast and we visited. We visited the East Coast, right? Got brand new paddle boards, all that jazz. And I got a mobile setup for situations like this so we wouldn't be confined to the house, right? And we get ready to set up, record this joint. Everything's going good. Got the mic set up, got everything looking boom. You know what I mean? Everything looking boom. And then it's like, yo, let's record. And yo, my recorder's like, yo, you don't have an SD card. I'm like, fuck, I don't have an SD card. So yeah.
The Fluster Club.
Yeah, it's a 2020. Hey, and we're here. So yeah, just in case you was wondering why the audio sounded a little different, or if you don't care, you know, you just laughing your ass off the little story there. We are back. 2020 strikes again. And today we want to talk about, well, for one, little preface, 2020 has been crazy. Are we in the last quarter? Almost in the last quarter?
October
marks the last quarter.
You said October, March.
No, I said October marks. Are you fucking high right now?
No, I don't even like that shit. So
October marks is what I said.
I got it.
So October marks the last 3 months of the year, right? Which is crazy because I'm still waiting for the aliens to be complete. Yo.
Dude, like he's been chill all day and then we get all hyped up for the podcast and he's over here squeaking his toy.
Oh, shit.
He's like, take my toy, throw it.
All right. So I'm still waiting for the aliens, to be honest. Like last 3 quarters of the year, I feel anything could happen, right? Anything could happen.
Last 3/4 months.
Oh my God.
This is going to be great.
Hey man, if this is your first time listening to us, holla. All right.
Welcome.
So anyway, 2020 has been crazy. As you can tell, our dog is going nuts. This is wild, with a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about. I got to do math real quick. 3-9. Okay. Yo,
3-9.
Yeah. The past 9 months have been insane. Past 9 months have been insane. Anything and everything has happened. Like I said, I'm still waiting on the aliens. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff has come to light with being locked down, if you will. You know, unfortunately, divorce rates has risen. Domestic abuse has risen. And it's crazy because it's one thing to marry somebody and then, you know, kind of be like, this is cool, until you really can't go anywhere and you're forced to see that person like all day, every day. It really puts things in perspective, you know? So we wanted to talk about, and Nietzsche wants to talk about too, we want to talk about basically being a married couple during the pandemic, because we're on, she's an extrovert, I'm introvert, not putting labels on it, but yeah, she's more outgoing or whatever. So to be locked in the house it even sounds crazy saying, like finding the compromise in that. But then even with that, you know, it's not just a marriage, it's a business partnership as well. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about it.
Word. So, I mean,
Word.
look, making fun of my whiteness.
Yes.
Anyways, so, you know, here's what's going to happen. I'm just going to predict it right now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to tell you that everything is rainbows and butterflies because, you know, I don't know. That's just like my default, man. That's how I look at the world. But like, if you were just to ask me straight up, like, what's it like living and working together? I'm like, it's fucking awesome. Like, I love it. I love every aspect of it. And then what happens is Jay just chuckles and he's like, nah. And then I'm like, wait, what? Like, I kind of do that dog thing, like, and I'm like, wait. And then Jay kind of breaks down some things. And I'm like, oh, okay, that might be the fact. That might be the case. But that's just how I roll. I can't help it. Like, it's like my default setting and I don't plan on changing it. But I think it's awesome living together and working together. I think it's great. I don't have any problems. But go ahead, point them all out.
No, it's not about
problem, but like point out like all the things that aren't on the tip of my tongue.
On the tip.
Well, because like tongue. Seriously, I'm like I like.
Well, that's one aspect, being overly optimistic about everything. So yeah, point one, you have one individual who, well, talking about the relationship, like for one, we're very open with each other, like communication. Still, there's little things here and there where we choose to work through. One of the things that we struggled with was triggers, like emotional triggers, like, you know, how someone would say something and it would be heard in a certain way, not necessarily in a hurtful way per se, but, you know, one person would say something and the other person would hear something and the initial reaction would to be like shut down or whatever. Like, cause I did a lot of that in the past, being completely transparent and vulnerable. You know, she would say something, I don't have any examples, and I'd just kind of be like, fuck it, and shut down and like kind of disappear and be upset and ignore her and like kind of do my own thing, which, not speaking for Jen, would probably made her feel a certain way and created some resistance and friction.
So as you're saying that, right? Like my first reaction is, okay, yeah, that's true, right? Like you may shut down, you turn me off, and then I shut down and I get turned off. And then, you know, we end up coming back to it anyways. But I'm just sitting here thinking like, well, how is anything different with the pandemic? Because yeah, we spent more time together, but that was still already you. So maybe that's the point. Some of y'all, or people you know, if it's not you, are in a relationship, but they don't really know each other. And maybe they haven't spent a lot of time with each other, intentionally or not. And now they have to spend a lot more time with each other. And some of the things that maybe already annoyed or frustrated them are just so heightened right now.
Right.
And we already know that communication is not like a powerful skill for people. Well, I was going to say like where my mind was going was like, I'm like, it's not a power. I was kind of going to be like cheeky here. It's like, it's not a really good skill for Americans or the world or whatever right now. Cause I'm just like, I'm going like, you know, if you think of like a ladder or something, you know, like I'm climbing up the ladder and looking at it from like a big global perspective. And it's like humans seem to have a really tough time right now just communicating, period. Right? Just in general, like social media and all the anger and the frustration and the hate and the judging. I'm just talking like huge, like big picture. Right? And then if you kind of come down into the micro and you chunk down into families and relationships, still communication literally is the number one skill and the number one thing to help your world go round. The better you are at communication, the more effective you are at communication, the more, committed you are to improving that skill, the better your relationships are going to be.
I want to add comprehension to that too, because yes, you can communicate, but if the other person or you aren't understanding what each other are saying, I think that's an important part too. Hence why usually when you ask a question now, I stop and say, what are you asking me? Or like, what are you really saying? So I can understand, because I hear one thing, but you might be the way that you're saying it, I'm not fully comprehending.
Right. And that's where like miscommunications come into place, because it's still comprehension is still a form of communication, because you're willing to come back and ask. Right. And a lot of times in relationships, and I'm going to split relationships, you got intimate relationships and, relationships like friends and family. And a lot of times, like, for whatever reason, we feel the need at times to like tiptoe around people's emotions and shit. And it's frustrating. And it's, some of it's necessary. I really don't know. I'm not the freaking be all end all, right? I'm more of a tiptoer, probably because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. And there's, what did my good friend and previous boss and mentor tell me, Roger? Do it tactfully. Like you can say some shit, but just do it tactfully, like in a corporate setting. Mm-hmm. He's like, go ahead and lay into him, but just with tact, like just, butter it up a little bit. Like you don't need to slam it on him. But I was just thinking as it relates to like what we're talking about, the comprehension, it's still like, if you're having troubles with your spouse, your intimate partner, and your expectations are not being met, right there, that's one thing. If you have expectations,
that's a huge thing.
Especially if they haven't been like communicated, you haven't put things on the table. People can't read your mind, although we wish they could.
Right.
And maybe some guys or women that you've dated in the past have been able to read your mind, and this person's not able to read your mind. And I say that because can anybody really read your mind?
Nope.
But some people are better at paying attention to the cues and signals.
Right.
Some people are better at doing those things, and some people, that's just not one of their skills. And I mean, I feel like I could just talk in circles about this, because really it's like, how do we, Jay and Jenny, live together, work together? Oh, and on top of it, 2020 has been different. So it's been more time at home in general, right? Like it's been more time where each person can't go out and do their things.
Right.
Or you can, whatever. I'm not going to split freaking hairs here about what you can and can't do, because the world is shifting. Humans are going to evolve. We got shit to do, people to see, right? Like we got stuff to do. We got dreams to go after. So I'm not going to split hairs on what we can or can't do, because regardless of where you are in the world, or even in your city or town, it's going to be so different. We're not all under the same rules and stuff right now.
Continue.
Well, I was like, I don't want to go down that path, because it's like...
Okay, so
reel it back in.
Point made. Let's move on.
So how do we work together? How do we work and live together?
It's...
God, so many things.
It is so many things, but I think it's like one of the major things is understanding expectations. It's like, don't have expectations. It sounds crazy, but it's like, don't have expectations, because, you might want your spouse to do things a certain way, when you come home and they don't do it, and then you're like let down, And then you're like stewing inside because they didn't do it. Like whatever it is, like you expected them to pick you up dinner on the way home and they didn't do it. And now you're pissed and you're stewing and you're waiting for them to notice that you're stewing, and they don't notice that you're stewing because they have no fucking idea that you're stewing about something that they had no idea they were supposed to do. So you're over in the corner pouting. Or if you're a stay-at-home mom and your husband is at home, you're kind of expecting him to help out more around the house during the pandemic, and he doesn't feel the need to, or he still feels like he has to work even though it's remotely. That's a whole new dynamic right there. So once again, we go into the stewing thing, which we said before, and it turns out into this thing. Instead of openly communicating and understanding what the other person needs, and understanding that, yes, you're married, you are a unit, but you're still two individuals. So there's still things there's still things that you're both going to want to do that you don't need each other to do. And there's going to be things that you love to do together, but giving each other that space and freedom and whatever. One of the things for me is trust is real huge. Trusting that other person. Like Jen plays sports. She's active. You know, there might be tournaments, softball tournaments that are out of town. There might be volleyball games that run later than usual. So, you know, if I was a jealous husband or I had trust issues, that could be a whole different thing, you know, because there's been many nights where she's been like, oh, yeah, I should be done around 9. And then hour and a half later, okay, I'm on my way home. You know, what the fuck happened at 9? Yeah. So that could start a whole different thing. But with that, doubling back to the communication, we're going to give you guys some keys and keep on repeating this shit. So pay attention. Communication is me saying, babe, I don't care how long you stay out because I know you're coming home, but just let me know, hey, I said 8, but it's probably going to be longer. So then I'm like, all right, cool.
Right. Because then you're not sitting there like wondering, you know, and even though it probably leads into a little bit of that stewing.
Right.
Because it's like each minute that goes by or whatever, you're like, hello, where are you?
Right.
And then the person gets home and you're like, oh my God, let's have this great time, blah, 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 blah. And you're all excited.
Like, fuck you.
And that person's like, get the fuck away from me. I don't want to hear that shit. Yeah, okay, cool. Headphones. Good to see you too. Oh yeah? Okay, you know, you're watching a show and it's like, fuck, I'm watching a show. Pause.
Or
they're still talking, play.
Crank that shit up.
Right? I can't. I mean, I think earlier in our relationship, I mean, I definitely had a pretty big awakening with this communication thing because being a sales professional, traveling all around the country, entertaining clients and seeing all kinds of different cities and having great meals and whatever, like just having a blast, honestly. And Jay came on one of the trips because it's like, hey, yo, you know, like come on this trip. You know, you can do your own thing. I got to work. And then we'll hang out where we can, you know, before, after, whatever. So hang out with like one of my favorite clients. It was a whole big annual meeting for them. They were in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
And what was special about that? It was our anniversary or
something.
I don't know. There was some kind of like a special thing. So we check in the Gaylord. We're like, oh my God, yeah, it's our anniversary, whatever. And they're like, oh my God, cool. So, you know, be in the top notch place they are. So I go out with the clients and I'm like, oh, I'll be back at whatever time. I don't remember what time I said. My intentions definitely were to come back at 9 or 10. I'm like, man, I don't feel like being out late tonight. I'm going to come back at 9 or 10. Let's just say. So while I'm out with clients, because Jay knew I was there for work. And so, you know, he texted me at some point during the day and was like, hey, this is really cool. Like they just sent like champagne and chocolate covered strawberries and okay. And like a flower or something. I don't know, like a little gift. And so I guess what was happening is he was hinting like, oh, this is so cool. Come back. You know, I can't wait to see you. But like and this goes back and this can probably be fun too, because this is like my version. Then maybe you'll hear his version and maybe you should share your version because then that can show like the perspectives and expectations. But like what happened on my side, right, is I'm out with clients and I did want to come back at 9 or 10. But because I'm extroverted and then I get into conversations and then I end up having a good time and I'm like, woo, this is fun, you know. And I really honestly at this point, I don't remember if I texted Jay or didn't text him. Hey, I'm going to be back later. I kept pushing it back or maybe I didn't say anything. Well, I ended up having quite a few drinks and I'm having more and I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to go back. And I don't know, let's say at this point it was 12 or 1 in the morning. And I was hungry. So I found the place that was open and it was some like walk through place with like pizza and stuff. And I was definitely pretty drunk where I was like eating the pizza and eating whatever, and I was like spilling it in the place, and I was like, woo, this is fun. So I stumble into the room. I think I had like pizza on my shirt or something. I finished the pizza in the bed. I finished like the chocolate thing in the bed. I got it on the bed, on the covers. And I'm like, what up? And he was livid. He was so angry, and he just left. He just left and he didn't say anything. And I had not experienced that yet. I'm like, oh my God, why did he fucking leave? I'm having the time of my life. This is a blast. It's time to hang out with him. So I ended up calling a good friend of mine. We have a good drunk chat. She was not drunk. She probably hated that chat. And then he finally came back and I'm like, what is wrong? Yeah. So Jay, your version.
You know, it was a special occasion. It was cool. Never really experienced. Maybe I did. I don't have any fucking idea, but it was cool. Room service. Hey, happy anniversary. Blah, blah, blah. It was cool. All right. Hey, this is dope. Hey, yo, the place just sent us something for the anniversary. Mind you, I do believe she said she would be back at a certain time, right? I don't remember if she texted or not, whatever. Somewhere in this story there was, I don't give a fuck about strawberries or some shit. Like,
oh, I forgot about that. I must have said that when I was drunk.
Yeah, so it was like, I don't give a fuck about no chocolate strawberries. Something to that effect. And she didn't get back to like 1:30. And at this, I didn't even want to look at it. Like, I didn't want to be in the same fucking room. So I bounced. I went and worked out in the gym for, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, an hour. And it was just like, yes, you're here on work, but you know, I guess it was one of those expectation things.
Yeah.
Definitely one of those expectation things. And it's like, I don't like talking to really drunk people. So it's like, okay, you want to go entertain your clients the entire night and then want to come hang out at 1 o'clock when you're like drunk and probably not even going to remember this in the morning. Like, nah, I'm not for that. Like, dead. So yeah, really, really pissed off.
Well, and here's the thing, you know, as I look back and break it down, because I guarantee you are have had, or will have a similar experience, not with this same exact story, but something else where expectations are out of alignment, communication completely broke down, and someone's frustrated.
Right.
Or both parties are frustrated. Because, you know, you could look from the outside in on this situation and be like, yo, girl just trying to live her life, he needs to back the fuck up. Right? Because that's what sometimes happens when you like go chat with your friends or whatever. Be like, girl, he needs to give you some space. Right? And it's like, for me, when I look back at it, like, I did not realize how much I had hurt him and how potentially disrespectful my actions were towards him. Because with the communication and after we broke it all down and he explained, I was like, whoa, I had no idea that my actions had that impact on you. I had no idea that that's like what was happening on this end, because for me, I was like, yo, leave me alone. I'm working. But when it comes down to it, bottom line, it's like, okay, you're working, because this is a specific example. It's like you're working, but like, what work is really happening after 10 p.m.? You know, like then you're just partying, which is fine. You can still party with your clients. This isn't about like, did I do it right or wrong? It's to the expectations and the communication. Because had the communication already happened and been there, where it's like, hey babe, I'm going to go party with them all night. I'll see you when I see you. It might have been totally different. I mean, he might have been bummed because maybe he really had hoped that we could spend more time together. But what happened is after that all broke down, we really talked about a lot of things. Like, what do you need? What does Jenny need? How can we do this better in the future? And if I remember correctly, I think it was like, well, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to come on a work trip. Or if I do come on a work trip, I need to know that you are going to be completely consumed while you're working.
Right.
And I cannot think any, you know, like, or you come to, you know, and say, all right, you know, it's a work trip, but I'm going to cut it off at this time. Like, you have to figure that out. And I still haven't mastered the whole cut it off at a certain time and come home when I say, because I just get caught up in the moment. But I have tried to be more mindful of those moments and maybe not tell him a time, or just
because I'm perfectly cool, you know, as long as I know like the position where, like I said, she could be hanging out or whatever. I just don't want to be to the point where I like you said 7. It's like now 9:30
or midnight
and you ended up playing 2 or 3 more games and I'm up here fucking worried, you know, because it's like, oh shit, you said you would be home at 7. I haven't heard from you. You know, your phone could have died or like all this other stuff, like all the things that could possibly happen. And 2, I was thinking about another work situation where they did the themed night thing and a couple of your coworkers wanted to meet me, and I'm really, I have a social meter, like, and I have to be mentally prepared to be around a lot of people, you know, for an X amount of time. And when I hit that meter, I will disappear. Like, and one night this happened, you know, and I think you were bummed because like I just left because I was done. And then like a couple of your coworkers were looking for me because they wanted to hang out or whatever. And so, and we really didn't talk about that at the time. Like I have a threshold. I can't, like, there's a limit. And 2, once again, back to communication, babe, I have a meter. I will give you a certain sign. You know, it's not that I don't want to hang out, but I'm done. I'm spent or whatever. Like, not saying you got to go back to the room or whatever. You can hang out and chill, but this is where I am. And just like understanding each other within, because there's going to be different situations and scenarios, but like understanding where each other stand in those cases.
And I think that brings up another good point, because sometimes I think some of this is driven by society, friends, family, TVs, movies, whatever, like culturally. There's certain expectations we have of our spouses or our boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever. And I don't know, I just think I always had this vision, right? That like, oh, you know, if I'm with somebody, they're going to be the life of the party right there with me, you know, and they're going to be talking and they're going to be able to talk to everybody. And because I'm so outgoing, I really didn't understand what it's like to be an introverted person. And let me rephrase, because I'm so extroverted, because Jace can be outgoing too, but he's introverted. And so I didn't really understand what it was to be an introverted person. So I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, why can't he do this? You know, I didn't understand why there were certain things that he had limits to. And so we could go through our whole marriage without ever talking about that, and me constantly pressuring him and feeling like he doesn't love me or he doesn't support me or he's not there for me because he doesn't hang out the amount of time I think he should at events and parties. Or if he disappears, then oh my God, how dare he leaves me out here, and how stupid I look without a significant other. Nah, like, I mean, you can keep believing those stories if you want, but go ahead and watch your relationship probably kind of tank down the fucking gutter, because eventually someone's going to break.
Right.
Eventually someone's going to be like, dude, leave me the fuck alone, you know? And then it's going to be like, whoa, what's wrong with you? Because they've been stewing it up the whole time.
Right. I
am so grateful that Jay's open to have conversations so that I can understand. And it's not something that happens overnight. Like, we can just talk about these things. And so that's what we do. We talk about things in our business. What do you like to do? What do you not like to do? Where do you feel empowered in the business? Where do you not feel empowered in the business? How do you like to work? How do you want to work? Like, we are constantly talking about and trying different things when it relates to the business, when it relates to our relationship, and still sometimes things stew.
Yep.
Things stew, and then eventually it's like, okay, we need to talk. Let's talk. But I think that literally is our oh, what is it? Your PFD, your personal flotation device, because we got those other stand-up paddleboards. So our PFD is communication. How can you make your PFD communication as well?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, we talked a lot about relationships, but I think it spills over to the business, the partnership as well for us, that communication and understanding. If you had 3 keys, 3 takeaways for the listeners, what would it be?
1, communicate. You want me to give all 3?
Yeah, go ahead. Give all 3.
All right. 1, communication. 2, be mindful of your expectations of yourself and each other. And 3, communicate.
Wait, you said communicate twice.
I know. What about you?
Definitely communicate. Yeah, check your expectations at the door.
Check your ego.
Yeah, your
We didn't
ego.
talk about ego. That's a whole other.
Your ego will fuck up your whole life game. Definitely leave your ego at the door. My number 3 would be open-minded. Open-minded to try to understand like what's going on, especially with us in business. This is with anything really, but Jen likes to work a certain way. I like to work a certain way, but it's finding that balance, that homeostasis in that, because she has strengths that I'm weak in, and vice versa. But it's like, oh, you don't do this way. This is the right. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about compromising to move the relationship, the partnership, the business, us forward as a unit. And the major thing is like, you asked your spouse to marry you for a particular reason. And so when he or she or they said, I do, that didn't mean like shit was going to be rainbows and unicorns for the rest of your life. It still takes work. And you have to be open to working on it, because you're going to grow. You're going to evolve. You're going to have next levels. And if you're not open to communicating, doing that together, one of you guys is going to be left behind. Mic drop.
Definitely gave you a lot to think about. We are excited for you to strengthen your own relationship.
Hey.
And even if you are not in a relationship, a committed relationship right now, and you're looking for one, these are definitely things that you want to put in your don't ever fucking forget file. Reach out to us. Let us know. Let us know what your hurdles have been, what your challenges have been, what you've done to overcome them. Of course, what other topics you want to hear us chat about.
Hit us up on the gram.
Yeah, word. Our gram is at two-timer. Oh,
word to your mother.
Stop it. Look, I'm a 90s baby.
Okay, give him.
So catch us up on the gram. Word. That's not our IG. So our IG is at 2, the number 2 _ Holla. That's where you got to find us. I almost said jholla.com, but like that's the other one.
That's the website.
Yep. I know the difference. So hit us up over there. Send us a message. And of course, if you think we're awesome, we know you do, and you want to stay connected with us and you want some cool emails, we got a cool, like, dope ass weekly Ohana that we send out. The latest, greatest, like, Ohana. We got the latest, greatest. You got the weekly Hawaiian word of the week. We've got where we're traveling and what's going on. So hit us up on there, 2jholla.com /Ohana, OHANA. Till next time, mahalo.
It sounds like a whack ass radio broadcast.
Bye.